Hello again, beautiful friend. Thank you so much for listening today. Since this podcast is built on truth, vulnerability, and authenticity, we are keeping it real and reducing the fluff. You are getting the raw conversation of me with myself or another beautiful soul, without any edits or anything else fancy. It's just a real conversation from the heart, and I hope it is meaningful for you today. Hello, and welcome to the second installment of the 2025 season of my podcast. And today we're talking about the power of intention. And intention is one of those words that I think a lot of people carry intention as I do something from an intentional place, and it often ties to the action that we take. And I want to talk about intention a little bit differently today. I spent a little bit of time in thinking about today's episode, just really looking at the word intention and where does it come from. And it comes from a Latin word intentus, which has a meaning of an aim. So to aim at something or have purpose, which makes a lot of sense because when we think about intention, we're really infusing a purpose behind the thing that we're doing. And I think in this world we live in today, so often we're caught in the doing and the accomplishing and the checking of all the boxes that we often forget to pause and say, what is my intention behind even doing this thing? And so I'm going to kind of ask some questions that get you thinking today that I hope really bring you back home to what is the intentions that you have behind all the things that you do. And when I think about intention, I think about it kind of like energy. And everything is energy. If you looked at any object and really understood where everything comes from, it's all energy. We are energy. Every object that exists is energy, and it's really a fascinating thing. And so when I think about the intention, it's like the energy you infuse into whatever it is that you're doing. And so you could do an activity and have the intention of love or hate, and that activity would turn out very differently. But if you check the box that you did it, both would say, well, I did it. And so the intention is the energy that you're infusing into the thing. So if you think about, this is why the placebo effect is even a thing. Because when we take something that we believe is going to heal us, it can actually heal us because we give it that intention. We give it that thought. We believe in it. And so when you think about that, this topic really ties into last week's episode where I talked about the power of choices, and one of those was the choice of thought. And when you center your thoughts in a positive, in something that is going to work out for you, when you look at the what if best case scenario, you tend to get things that are in that direction because your power of your thoughts it creates your reality. And so when I think about intention, I think about it being the seed that you're planting inside of every action. And that seed is the determining factor of how it grows. And if you imagine that you plant a seed in the ground and you infuse it with the intention of love, it will flourish abundantly because that intention is so rooted in love and positivity. It will grow. It will be beautiful. And if you continue to infuse it with that intention, it will flourish. I'm sure you've seen those studies where they take two plants and they just simply speak to them differently, and they grow differently based on the energy of the words that that plant is hearing. And clearly the plant is not a human. So it really proves the power of what I'm talking about. And imagine that you planted that seed with fear or hate or negativity, how it would grow. So think about every action that you take in your day. What is your intention behind it? And this is also really why I choose a word for the year or a couple of words, because we can set all the goals. We can have a list of to-dos, but if we don't have an intention, what are we really grounding ourselves in? What's our purpose for how we show up? Or when things aren't going the way we expect, how do we recenter? We do that through intention. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to think about how you show up in these situations. First and foremost, I want to say prayers for the community in LA and all of the hardship they're going through with the fires and the pain and the struggle that they're in. And when we have catastrophic events, it brings out a lot of emotion in people. And it brings out emotion in people who are sitting back, not affected, and judging the situation, making assumptions about how and why and who messed up. And there's a lot of tough things. And so the first example I'll use is simply commenting on something online. You know, we live in this digital world. It's so much easier to just drop bombs on people when you're not there. You're not sitting next to them. It's easy to hide behind a screen and say really bold and often mean things. So when you think about, commenting on something, are you showing up with the intention of love or hate? Are you showing up with the intention of support or criticism? And really, are you showing up with the intention to be helpful or supportive and really help someone work through something? Or are you showing up to judge them? And I think so often we don't pause, we just do and go and assume and make a comment. And I know everyone listening here, you're great people, but I think if you ask this of your kids or your friends, what was your intention? What was your intention with saying that thing? It really can help someone pause and reflect back. Yeah, why did I say that? Why did I feel the need to be difficult or say something that wasn't so kind? Another one I'll ask you about is your intention when you decide you're going to go do a workout. Are you doing your workout with the intention to lose weight, to look good, all these things extrinsically outside of you? Or are you actually going to work out so that you feel good and that you enjoy this activity that feeds you endorphins? So often we show up to something with, oh, I have to do this. I don't want to do this. What's your intention behind just showing up for a workout? Because if you show up with a good intention, I promise it will be a much better experience. Another one that I think is really a good one to reflect on is, what is your intention behind the food that you eat, the meals that you have? So often we're just running day to day and shoving things in our mouth and, getting it done and just we're so busy. And if we do grab something that's quick and easy, maybe the bag of potato chips or the cupcake or the cookie or whatever, we often can carry an intention of shame and guilt, or we can feel that feeling of shame and guilt. And so if you really pause before you decide to eat something and you just say, this is nourishment for my body, and I sit in gratitude for this nourishment. And even if you're going to have a treat, to sit in positive intention and say, this is going to make me feel good. I really want this right now. Because the power of the thought that you give the thing is more powerful than the thing itself. This is the placebo effect. The energy around the thing is more important than the thing itself. So if you are eating the bag of potato chips, shaming yourself, you have created more of a problem than just joyfully eating the potato chips. So really think about that when you decide what you're putting in your body, and just fill it with gratitude and love and positive intention and enjoy it. Another one I will ask you about is, how do you show up to a difficult situation, whether that's with a boss, with an employee, with a spouse, with a friend, something that's challenging. If you pause and ask yourself, am I showing up to this conversation or situation with love, with empathy, with curiosity? Or am I showing up with frustration, defensiveness, and to prove a point? Because you can show up to the same conversation with very different intentions and get very different outcomes. Another really good one is, how do you show up to a meeting where you're trying to sell something? Or even to a conversation where you're trying to sell an idea with your family, your kids, your spouse, a friend? Often when we're trying to sell something, we show up with the intention to sell, that we're going to get something. I'm going to sell this idea. I'm going to sell this thing. I'm going to sell this plan. But what if you step back and had your intention be to listen? What if your intention was to be of service? Because really, selling is just a service. And if you bring the intention of really impacting the person that you're with, or the people that you're selling to, or trying to sell an idea to, really, really pause and reflect on your intention. Another one that I think is really great to reflect on is the morning, whether that's Monday morning, whether that's getting up early. Are you showing up with the intention of dreading it? Are you showing up with the intention of survival? I just got to get through it. Are you showing up with the intention of, I have to do this? Or are you showing up, waking up early saying, I'm not a morning person, I hate this? Because that will start your day off not well. What if your intention when you woke up early was getting excited to pour into yourself and have that alone time? What if your intention was that this is the favorite part of your day where you get to start it on your own terms? What if waking up on Monday morning, even if you hate the job that you're in, or you're frustrated with the people you work with, what if you showed up with the intention of, I'm just going to see what magic is available to me this week? I'm going to show up with the intention of excitement and opportunity, and I'm going to see what happens. The last one I'll share is, what is your intention when you go to sleep at night? We often get to the end of the day, we judge our day, we look for all the things we didn't get done that we could have or should have done, and we sit in judgment of ourselves, and then we go to sleep. And imagine how that makes you feel as you're sleeping, that you just went to bed in judgment. So what if you were very intentional with the thoughts before you went to sleep, and you looked at your day in gratitude and said, I'm going to write down 3 things that I really loved about today, 3 things I'm really grateful for today, something that happened just today, because that will set you up with the intention of looking for more magic in your day, more beautiful moments in your day. And then what if you said to yourself before you went to sleep, what do I want to work on in this sleep time? What do I want my subconscious to be working on? Maybe you want clarity on a certain thing. Maybe you want your subconscious to be working on your confidence. And your brain is a powerful, powerful thing. And the intention you set behind your sleep time can actually create momentum. So I hope that you kind of think about these moments as examples that as you work through your day, you just take a moment before you walk into that next meeting, before you walk into that next conversation, before you walk into that next situation, and you really just take a pause for 5 seconds, for 10 seconds, and you say, what is my intention? And maybe you just ground yourself in a word. Maybe you ground yourself in a thought or a feeling that you want to have. I've been hosting these Elevation Lab pilots, and we have several coming up this year because they've been so impactful. And I got together this week with Lydia Hatton and Allison Van Zitveld, who I'm doing these with, and we talked about, what is our intention for this group coming in on Saturday? And we just really grounded in what we were feeling for the group energetically and what they needed and what we were going to bring. And so I looked at that and thought, wow, how powerful to set the intention well before the group comes together, to have the thoughts on a aggregated intention where we came together and that we were all sitting in that intentional energy as we approached the days coming up to the event. And comparatively speaking, I thought about when I was working at Deloitte and we would go into a big proposal meeting. I'm talking, tens of millions of dollars on the table. And we talk about our products and our capabilities and our technology and all the things. And I just sat as I was thinking about this conversation and I thought, what if we would have just centered on our intention? What if our intention for that client was that big proposal meeting was to just listen? What if our intention was to serve? What if our intention was to build trust? And we were all grounded and rooted in one intention as a team. Imagine how differently we would approach every answer the question had, every answer the question. Ugh, can't talk. And I don't edit, so you're going to get that. What if we had, that intention, then every time we got a question, we would answer it from that place. We'd be centered on that same intention as a team. And I just think, wow, how much more beautiful that experience would be for all of us involved and the client. Yeah, it's just a powerful thing to really tap into the intention. And so I encourage you to do that with your teams as well, with your families. And so what I suggest for you as you go out, into your day, is that you look at every event, every meeting, every meal, every situation, the drive to school with your kids, the next meeting with your client, and you say, what is my intention here? And just ground into that one word and carry that through the entire situation and just see how that feels. I also think as you begin your day or your week or your month or your year, and tomorrow is the first day of the next year, so you always can start fresh with an intention. And so do the same thing and say, what is my intention? Maybe there's a word you want to ground into for the next week and say, I just want to bring joy this week, or I just want to bring positivity, or I want to bring love. I always say when all else fails, just show up with the intention of love, because all things are possible from that place. And when you find that you make this pause and you get to moments where your intention is not pure or it doesn't feel in alignment, and you realize, ooh, I've been showing up to this job with the intention to just make money. And that's it. And it's crushing my soul. You get to take that and reflect and decide whether you want to shift your intention around that job and say, you know what? Yeah, the byproduct of the work I do is going to be money, but my intention is to make impact. My intention is to be a light. My intention is to be a gift to my team and help them. My intention is to be a positive light in the world around me. My intention is to raise the spirits of every person I see today. And I promise you, all of the abundance, all of the things you want will come to you when you have an intention that feels in alignment with who you want to be, and you ground in that, because that is the entire point. And maybe some things that you haven't had pure intention on that doesn't feel aligned for you, maybe it's not shifting the intention. Maybe it's walking away from that thing. Maybe with all the good intention in the world, you realize it's this thing that's out of alignment for me. This job, this relationship, this friendship. I can show up with love, and it just still doesn't feel good to me. That's where you get the power to choose and the power to act. So I hope that this helps you today. I hope that you walk into every situation with a new perspective, and that you just take a pause and you really ground into the intention, because I promise as you do that and you shift your intentions to something positive, you are shifting that energy. You are literally infusing the energy into the situation, and it will change everything. Imagine how much more impactful your day will be, the way you share yourself with the world will be, when you can ground in an intention instead of just running around in chaos in the hamster wheel of life, doing all the things without really grounding into an intention. So my intention this year is to be bold and to do everything from a place of alignment. And I am always, always, always focused on showing up from a place of love and compassion and seeing the good and being a light for others. And really, as I always say, I see the light in my clients, I see the light in everyone, and my mission is to make it shine brighter. So I hope that you find something good in this message today, and I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope that this gives you permission to show up in the world in your truth, in your authenticity, in your vulnerability. The world really needs to hear that. If you love this podcast and it spoke to you today, and there might be someone out there who needs to hear it too, please share it with them. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, we would love to hear a review and have you follow the show. But most of all, we just want to thank you for being here today, showing up in your truth, and spending your time with us. Now go out into the world and feel free to be the beautiful soul that you are. We love having you here.